All right, big props to Beefwater Casey Bay from 105.9 The Brew. He did his walk for autism acceptance this morning, and they raised over $20,000. I went in and sat in on the show this morning with Tanner and Laura with Casey on the walk and had a chance to be a part of it. But I'm so proud of Casey. He's one of the great coworkers, a good friend, and he and I both have sons who have autism. And to see him want to start something organically with just a good heart because he wants people to accept those with autism, and to see what it's blown up into where he's able to raise over $20,000 today for the Autism Society of Oregon. It's awesome. So props to Casey. I love him. And big thanks to all of you who participated and helped to make this day possible and made your contributions. It's awesome. So big props to everyone involved, and most importantly to all of you, because every time the community steps up, it reminds me that there are more good people in this world than there are bad people. We just don't get those news stories all the time. And so I love to see it, man. This is a special place, and that's part of the reason why tonight's going to be so freaking awesome, because we all get a chance to pack into Motor City together, 20,000 strong, and cheer on the Blazers as they take on the annoying San Antonio Spurs. They were boring when they won championships. Their coach was grumpy, and I just don't like them. And I want the Blazers to punch him in the face tonight. And if Wembanyama plays, get physical with him. You know, if he's going to go out there and play, he's being cleared. Get physical with the guy. Finesse players don't like it when you put bodies on them. You know, we've seen it time and time again. Lamar Hurd, we're going to hear from him in just a couple of minutes. But I want to touch on something real quick in regard to the upcoming arena renovations and the new owner, Tom Dundon. And this comes off a conversation that I had this morning when I was in the studio at 105.9 The Brew. My big boss, Marshall, came in and just to cheer us on and see how things were going with the Casey walk and everything. And he and I started talking Blazers because he's coming down to the game tonight. And he told me that he was hearing that there were some issues within City Council in regard to the funding and the arena improvements which are coming and which are going to be part of the process and necessary for Dundon to sign up a new lease to keep the Trailblazers here in Portland for an extended period of time. And so when he told me there were issues, I didn't know exactly what the issues were, so I made a few phone calls today. And what I found out is something that's not so good. So I want to play this clip for you. Chris Dudley, who is running for governor here in the state of Oregon, sat down with the Godfather Dwight Jaynes, and they had a discussion. And I want you to hear Dudley because he's talking about the Blazers. He's talking about the relationship between the team and the community and, of course, the local leadership with new owner Tom Dundon. And take a listen closely to what he had to say.
The Trailblazers. It appears that we have averted the crisis of the team leaving. It appears they're moving toward a solution for funding. But I recall you in the beginning saying public-private partnership. I don't think it's going to be that. I think it's going to be a public thing with all the money for the renovation coming from the public. How do you feel about that?
Well, disappointed. And as you know, I started along with Marshall Glickman, the son of Harry Glickman, who founded the Blazers, Rip City Forever. And we were focused on keeping the team here. And nobody wants the team here more than I do. There might be people who want it as much, but there's nobody who wants it more than I do. To keep the team here. I think it's integral. I think the Blazers mean so much to Oregon, to Portland, to the state, to bringing people together, the beauty of sports bringing people together. And we were ringing the bell for the city of Portland and the state of Oregon saying, here's what's coming. Somebody is going to invest billions of dollars, $4.25 billion into the city. We have a 30-year-old arena that needs major renovations. They're going to ask for a public-private partnership. Be prepared. Start thinking about what you want. Be proactive. Have a vision. Don't view it as a crisis. View it as an opportunity. What do you want? Well, of course, we did none of that. We waited for it, and then the owner presented a bill last second, and basically under the threat of possibly moving, and said sign it, and no negotiation, no thought about it.
No leverage either, right?
No, but there is, you have to know how to negotiate. If you would signal to the NBA that the state is willing to do this amount of dollars but wants a partnership from the owner, you would have leverage. But we just don't have that leadership in the governor's office. We don't have that expertise on how to negotiate in the governor's office. It's a little bit scary right now. And so what happens? We end up with a deal that, in my opinion, may be the worst deal in the country as far as an arena, where I don't know of another deal where it's a public-private partnership where the private side's putting in $0. I mean, to me, that's not, and so.
He says his part of the partnership is keeping the team here.
Well, of course, but that's what you have to be able to negotiate. And I have no ill will towards ownership. Tom Dundon, he's doing as a business. He's negotiating the best deal he can.
Negotiation.
He's negotiating, and of course, as governor, you would say, no, you're private means you're putting up money as well. We kept ringing the bell, and it's just staggering to me the lack of. You need that expertise somewhere in the Capitol, either from the legislature or from the governor's office, and it's just not there. The idea of we kept saying. You need structure a deal like was done in '94 with Paul Allen, where he basically signed a 30-page document that he could not move the team for 30 years. Of course, we didn't do that. Now they can move if they pay off the loan. Well, guess what? And that may sound like a lot, it may be a couple $100 million penalty to move, but if a team has the ability to move somewhere where the team will be valued at, call it $7-8 billion, couple $100 million is not a big deal. So I don't like the way the deal was structured. I think it's another example of the lack of vision, the lack of leadership, and the lack of expertise and economic background coming out of the governor's office.
Okay, that's Chris Dudley with the Godfather. So what I was told that the issue right now is, so Dundon, of course, is looking to get public funds for the arena renovations. But the issue is this. From what I was told, he is looking to have a buyout option with the new lease. And I think the current lease runs up to, 2030? So what I've been told, and the reporting that's out there, is that in order to get the funds, he would have to sign a 20-year lease agreement, which would keep the team here for, till 2050? A lot can change between now and 2050. So a good chance the Blazers would be here for good if you could get that 20-year lease. But from what I've been told is that he may be looking to get a buyout, which means he could buy himself out, pay a couple of $100 million, and then boom, he's able to move on and go elsewhere. And so just keep that in mind and pay close attention to the negotiations and what's going on within the city council. My opinion on this is pretty simple. If you're going to commit $600 million or whatever the number is in public funds to a owner so he can do arena renovations, you cannot allow a buyout. You just simply can't do it. It's like, I'm sorry, we're not giving you the option to buy out. You've got to commit to a 20-year lease agreement. And most people would agree that 20 years is not long enough. It should be a 30-year lease agreement. But I would stick with 20 because in 20 years from now, Dundon may decide he wants to sell the team and somebody else could come in. But whatever you do, council, you cannot allow him to have a buyout option. Because when someone puts in a buyout or has the option to buy out, what do you think they're going to do? So just keep that in mind. That's what I heard today. That was the concern, and that's the scuzzlebutt, is that a potential buyout being in this new agreement that they're working on right now. And obviously we don't want that. That would be very bad. All right, reach out to me. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. You can hit me up. We can talk about the game tonight. I want to know what's going through your mind. What do you think about Wemby? Is he going to play? What's your gut tell you? And do you hate the Spurs and their fans as much as I do right now? Because I am feeling I'm playoff Chad today, okay? I am ready to rock. I can't wait for the game, and I want the Blazers to take it at them. Look, I know they're a great team, but they have no playoff experience. So the best way to get after them is to turn the pressure up, be physical, and attack them tonight. Don't settle for outside shots. Get in the paint, attack them, get to the foul line, and really crank up the pressure on the Spurs. That's what I'm hoping to see tonight. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. All right, let's hear from Lamar Hurd, Trailblazers television analyst, who is with us.
Chad, what's happening, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited for tomorrow because, as you know, Moda Center, when it's packed and you've got playoff atmosphere, there's nothing like it. But I was just blown away by that comeback in game number 2. And let's start with Scoot Henderson, who It reminded me a lot of CJ and the coming out party he had in that series against Memphis back in 2015 with the way Scoot was able to handle the load throughout the course of that game on a night when Denny didn't have his best stuff. What did you think about Scoot's performance?
That's a good comparison with what CJ went through when he burst into the scene. I thought Scoot was amazing. I don't think there's anything I can say about him in some regard that somebody hasn't already said. I know you've been on top of it, and now the whole NBA world is, and that's just that'd be my biggest feeling that I came away with is I'm just happy for Scoot that he just gets to be involved in a lot of good NBA press after his first couple of years. You know, it was not what he expected. It wasn't his family expected, and a lot of people don't bounce back from that. And for him to do that, I thought was really special. And I mentioned before, I thought Scoot just really came into some extreme circumstances, even his rookie season, replacing the franchise icon in Damian Lillard and having that over his shoulders and having to figure that out and play through it. And then, Chad, even this season, I thought that same type of pressure was reversed. Now Scoot's playing and Dame's over there on the bench, and you know he's coming back next season. So I would imagine to a high degree Scoot felt the need to be able to perform this season. And once he got back out on the floor, you know, he's worked his way to that moment, and it's just really cool to see. And I hope for his sake, and of course the Blazers, but for Scoot specific, I just hope that he can continue to play well so that it's something that no matter how this series ends up in the win-loss column, he can feel good about his own self moving forward and come back an even better player next season.
No question about it. I want to ask you about Wemby before he went out with the concussion in game number 2, and that
alert.
You know the play of Wemby in game number 2 gets clouded because of the concussion, and I get it. But what did you think about the Blazers' adjustments on Wemby in game number 2 before he left the game with injury?
I'll take it to game 1 as well, Chad. I think what Coach Splitter has decided to do against Wemby is about as good of a concept as you can come up with. Now, I know that there was some criticism towards in that game where Luke Cornett was catching a lot of lobs, getting behind on the pick and roll, and Wemby as well. And there was this feeling like, wait, that can't be the game plan. And that wasn't necessarily the game plan. It's just that Wemby changes the flow and course of a game and the scheme in a way that nobody else does. Even though you talk about a certain way to guard something, you realize really quickly the margin for error with Wemby is just different than anybody else in the NBA. So for Coach Splitter to come back in game 2 and go to the matchups that he went to, guard it the way he did, and I really like what Drew's been doing against Wemby the times he's been on him. I thought that was really good. I thought there's been really good coaching tactics going on throughout this series so far.
What do you think is the big change? Let's say Wemby doesn't play in game 3 or misses some time. So what's the adjustment for the Blazers? How did the Spurs change their attack without Wemby?
I think De'Aaron Fox takes it upon himself to pick things up, not only because he's kind of the veteran of the group, but he was brought over for this type of purpose. And he's been in a playoff series, has gone to a Game 7 before. So with the ball being in his hands, I think their expectation is for him to step things up. But if Wemby's not on the floor, that then allows Tumani to guard Fox a lot more than he's maybe been able to so far in the first 2 games. And to me, that favors the Blazers. It doesn't mean Fox still can't have a game where he scores a lot of points. It's just that Tumani's going to make him work in a way that I don't know if anybody else will throughout the course of a game, especially if he's picking him up the length of the floor. And so if Fox comes in as the go-to guy, it will go a long way for the Blazers to be able to have Tumani kind of wear him out between quarters 1 through 3. And hopefully Fox won't have enough in the tank comes quarter 4.
With the home crowd in game 3, would you expect that to maybe give a boost to Jeremy Grant and Shaedon Sharpe and Matisse Thybulle, some of the guys who have struggled a bit from the field? Because I've always been told that role players tend to really get a boost from that home crowd. Not that Jeremy Grant's a role player, but you know what I'm saying. How do you see it?
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. And I would expand it to really everybody, because that narrative is usually based around role players, but stars do too. Like the star players feel a lot better at home as well, and they get a bump to what they already add. So, I expect to see it. I have to see it, and the reason I expect it is because the numbers, especially like Jeremy Grant and his corner three-point shooting, what it was all during the season, for that to seemingly have left him for the time being in games 1 and 2, I would expect that those numbers that we saw throughout the course of the season would come back. So I just hope he's in the right headspace. Same with Drew. And that, what you just led to, Chad, is what kind of excites me the most about the remainder of the series is I just don't think the Blazers have even played that well. They competed hard, and they've played hard, but I feel like I've seen them play better games. So I know that there's another level that they can get to. Now maybe that's not the case for Scoot, because Scoot is performing at the highest of high levels.
Yeah.
But think about it. What if there is? So if there is for him too, that'd be crazy. But for the other guys, I definitely expect them to catch back up into this series with their normal contributions.
That's pretty exciting. We're talking with Lamar Hurd, television analyst for your Portland Trailblazers, getting ready for Game 3, which will tip off tomorrow at 7:30. I wanted to ask you about Tiago Splitter. I've been really impressed with the job that he's done. And when you look over the course of the season, what aspect to what he's been able to accomplish has impressed you most? Is it the ability to get the guys to do what he wants and play hard for him? Is it the way he's navigated through all of the adversity? Like, what are you seeing and hearing from Coach Splitter that's impressed you?
It's all of those things, and this is a hard question to answer because I want to list like 5 things to you that I've seen, whether it's on the floor or just kind of his interpersonal skills with the players and with the staff outside of the arena. But I'll hone in on one, and it's what you said about his ability to get the players to eventually do what it is he's wanted them to do. And one thing that stood out to me was in the last game, in Game 2, at the very end of the game, the Blazers had a lead, and they just needed to inbound ball. Well, now, as we know throughout the course of the season, those scenarios where they have a lead, and therefore now the defense is pressuring against them on a late inbound, those scenarios have not gone well for the Blazers this season. But Tiago Splitter, and I don't know if everybody recognizes this, he ran the same play in that scenario that he's been running the whole season. And they got the ball inbounded to Drew. And the reason that stood out to me is because there were several times when the Blazers did have their late game blunders and inbounding the ball that Kevin and I would be doing the game, and I would say the play wasn't bad. They just ran wrong. They just didn't execute. They didn't utilize the spacing in the play the way it's supposed to happen. But it's not a bad play. It's not a bad concept. It's something, Chad, that I remember when I played, I liked what they do. They give the guard a chance to post up for an inbound. That usually worked well for me because I was normally taller and or could jump as well as whoever was defending me. So I felt good about that. And so when I saw Tiago go to this, I remember the first time he did it was at Utah earlier on in the season. And he inbounded it to Drew, and the play worked. And then it seemed like from there, they just had problems with it all the time. So I appreciate that Tiago found a conviction sorts, in a year where he's probably getting a lot of voices in his ear, a lot of people that, are trying to give him advice and trying to help him, for him to be able to say, wait, even though we really struggled with this during the season, we're doing the right thing. And to see him pull out that same play in their biggest possession of the season so far, that to me spoke about him and his belief systems, while also seeing times where he has done some things a little bit differently.
All right, there's the thoughts of the great Lamar Hurd. We appreciate him. Telephone number 503-248-0620. You can fire away with your phone calls. Sean Hyken's going to stop by and join me. Chris Burkhart's going to be here. And if you're coming down to the arena, I'm inside Dr. Jack's right now. So come on down. Get your ass down here, man. It's party time. Playoff game tonight. Tip-off at 7:30. And the only place to get local coverage in the postseason of your Trailblazers is right here on Rip City Radio 620. I love you, man. I can't wait for tonight. Packed house, playoffs, series tied up at 1, and it's time for the Blazers to go out there and use that energy to kick some Spurs ass. So I hope they get the job done. 503-248-0620. I want your take on the game tonight. What are your thoughts? And we are waiting to hear the availability of one Victor Wembanyama. You got the Rip City Drive live from Dr. Jack's, getting ready for Game 3 on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Well, we got big news that was just announced, and the line shifted immediately. Kevin Durant is a no-go tonight for the Rockets, who trail in their series 2-0 against the Lakers. And I haven't seen the latest on Austin Reeves, but the thought is he's going to play. But now the Lakers have a chance to put a stranglehold. The Rockets were a 9-point favorite, and that line quickly dropped. It's now 5.5. And there's a bunch of money coming in on the Lakers with the news about Kevin Durant. That is remarkable. And if you played the Rockets earlier at -9, I feel bad for you right now. That is horrific news. The Blazers right now currently a 3.5-point underdog. So that line is continuing to shift. And if you look at the money that's coming in on the Spurs, 59% of the money's on San Antonio, 54% of the tickets are on the Spurs. So just something to keep an eye on. But right now, with the line going up, I'm anticipating Victor Wembanyama to be available and play tonight. That's what I think. So we'll wait and see what happens. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Let's go out to Northeast and talk to my man Dan. Dan, welcome back to the show, my friend. What's on your mind as we get ready for Game 3?
Oh, I am pumped beyond belief, Chad. Super stoked. And then, by the way, it just really surprises me that there's even an outside chance that Victor will play. I mean, you're talking about your franchise future for the next decade, and it just seems awfully risky to me. But I'm not a learned doctor, so whatever. And I'm here to talk about Blazers, man. Just quick hits. As you know, there was a lot of dialogue in the fan base down the stretch about whether it made sense to push to the playoffs to get smacked by, an OKC or a Denver or a San Antonio, or whether we want to hold back and take a crack at the lottery. We're at Game 3, but can we just acknowledge that debate has been completely put to rest? I think playoff experience is sometimes a little overrated, but man, you can't tell me how good these reps are for guys like Scoot, for guys like DC. It's terrific experience. And from a franchise standpoint, you couldn't ask for a better scenario in which to evaluate a coach that's effectively in a contract year. Set aside all the done and stuff. If you want to see if a coach is good, put him in a tough series with a fully healthy roster. It's a dream. It's really, really lucky.
And Dan,
we should be grateful.
And Dan, think about this. How much more have we learned about Scoot Henderson over the last few games and being able to see him in postseason form? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's a revelation. No, completely. And I'd much rather roll these dice and see where the series goes than, push that Chicago pick back yet another year and have a 4% chance that, is likely not going to pan out and everything else. So I'm thrilled that we're in. As far as tonight's game, this isn't the hottest it takes, but I just wouldn't be surprised to see Shaedon Sharpe show up and really make a difference. He's back on his home floor. Obviously, he hasn't been able to hit a thing, but they could really use his offense, and I just wouldn't be surprised to see him show up and have if not a huge night, then a bigger night than he's had to date in the series. And
Dan, man, I think in addition to Sharp, I think Grant, the three guys I'm looking at tonight that I think will benefit the most from being back at home. I agree with you. Shaedon Sharpe's one, Jeremy Grant's another, and Matisse Thybulle. I expect all three of those guys to play better, be impactful, and make more shots.
Cooking, and those guys have been so bad compared to. Sorry guys, but it's been a tough series so far for all of them, and we all know that they're better than that, and it's just a matter of time till they pick it up and come through with a big performance. And I just would not be at all surprised to see it this evening, and just so freaking pumped to have playoffs back in the Rose City. Let's go Blazers! That's all I got. Late.
Yeah. Boy, that's a great take, Dan. Great take. A phenomenal take by my man Dan there, who's like, hey, what about all those people that didn't want the postseason because they wanted to keep the draft pick? Well, now that the playoffs are here and the Blazers are tied up at one game apiece, getting ready for a home game tonight with a packed crowd, I think it's pretty safe to say that the playoffs are okay. And this is why you play the games. Even if you have a heavy favorite, things happen, and all of a sudden the series can turn on a dime. And that's what's happening right now. The Blazers have a great opportunity. I think we all know that if you can get games 3 and 4 at home, all of a sudden you put the scare of death into San Antonio. All right, we'll keep things rolling. Sean Hyken coming up at 4:20. Chris Burkhart's going to be here. I'm live at Dr. Jack's. Tip-off coming up at 7:30 here on Rip City Radio 620.
Sharp play.
All right, it's now 4 o'clock. What's up, my friends? Trailblazers, Game 3 tonight against the Spurs. Series is tied up at 1. Tip-off's coming up at 7:30. Chris Burkhart will have Game Day live at 5:30 with Scoot Henderson coming off his 31-point performance in game number 2. He was asked, what worked for you?
I think just being aggressive on both sides of the ball. As a team, as a unit, I think that was our goal, to be aggressive, hit everybody that comes through the paint. Box out and play fast. I think that was all of our success, and that kind of opened the floor for all of us.
Yeah, Scoot was also asked what he expects tonight at Moda.
Man, I already know Rip City going to be turned.
All right, tip-off at 7:30. The only local coverage of your Trailblazers through the postseason is right here on Rip City Radio 620.
Sharp play.
All right, Sean Hyken's going to be by here in about 20 minutes. Chris Burkhart is on his way down, and I'll be with you up until 5:30. We got a late tip tonight here at Moda Center, a 7:30 tip with the Trailblazers and Spurs. It's game number 3, and we're still waiting word on the availability of Victor Wembanyama, who continues to clear steps in the concussion protocol. And so I think there's a good chance, based on what's happening with the line movement, that we may see Wembanyama tonight. But he's here in town. He went through the shoot-around this morning, and then they worked with him on his protocol to see where he's at. So we're awaiting word. We should find out real soon. But the Trailblazers and Spurs coming up at 7:30. Your telephone number here to reach out to me. I'm live in Dr. Jack's, which is opening up right now. Your telephone number, 503-248-0620. 503-248-0620. I want you to reach out now. I want to know what you think about the game tonight. Are you confident in the game tonight? And what do you think the Blazers must do with or without Wemby to be able to get the job done? That's the most important question. Because if the Blazers can get the win tonight and crank up the pressure on this young Spurs club, they got a chance to do something special. But I think in order to win this series, if we talk about the Blazers advancing into the next round, they got to win the next 2 games. You've got to take care of business on your home court. And we know the Blazers are going to be pumped up tonight. You know, this was mentioned by Dan in Northeast about the guys. Shaedon Sharpe is who he mentioned, who he expects to really play well here at home. I would expect a lot of the role players. I'm looking at 3 guys, Shaedon Sharpe being one, Jeremy Grant being the other, and then Matisse Thybulle. And I want to see Matisse Thybulle flying around, creating disruption, using his defense, getting in the passing lanes, and knocking down threes to energize his teammates and the crowd, which I think would be pretty awesome. Now, with the game tonight, Scoot Henderson, I have confidence in him to be able to step up and make plays. He looks so good right now. He looks comfortable in the mid-range. He looks confident when he shoots the 3. And the best part about him being able to knock down that shot is the Spurs are going to have to respect it, and then he's got the ability to blow by his defender and get to the rim and create for his teammates. And we saw that in game number 2. And it's just great to have this extra time. Dan also brought up this point that, you know, the big debate about whether or not you want to make the postseason or if you want the Blazers to keep the draft pick. I mean, that all seems pretty ridiculous right now, doesn't it? Of course you want the team in this position. You know, the team looked at it the same way throughout the course of the season. It was a win-win. If you make the playoffs and you get great experience for your young guys, perfect. And if you don't and you get a draft pick, that's fine too. But I think what we're seeing now with the extra games and extra prep time is that we're getting a better idea what some of these guys are about, namely Scoot Henderson. When you see what he was able to do in game number 2, I mean, you got to be pretty excited about the future and what he's going to be able to provide because he puts in the time, he puts in the work. He's super young, and he's been able to do it on a big stage. I thought he was good in game 1. He was terrific in game 2, but he's looked very competent and playing with poise through the first 2 games of the series, which has been terrific. And I love it. And Coach was asked about Scoot after the game.
When he was injured, I just saw all the work he put on. He's a very committed young guy to get better. And then slowly, when he got better, recovered from the injury, slowly you could see flashes of him. And I think he's in a stage where now he's a little bit more mature. The game is a little slower for him. He's shooting the ball well. He worked the whole year on his shooting of course, he had time and he could put the reps. And now he's just flourishing, and we can see Scoot Henderson.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. He is flourishing. He has put in a lot of time, and you're seeing the product on the floor now. The work that he's put in, the benefits from that. And if you talk to anyone around the team, they'll tell you how hard he works, the time he puts in. He's a gym rat, and it's no surprise to them that they're seeing this type of production now because of the work that he puts in, which is great. And Scoot, after that 31-point performance at game high, talked about what was working for him.
I think just being aggressive on both sides of the ball. As a team, as a unit, I think that was our goal, to be aggressive, hit everybody that comes through the paint, box out, and play fast. I think that was all of our success, and that kind of opened the floor for all of us.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So big props to him. I'm looking forward to see how he performs tonight. And for the Blazers, they've got to be aggressive. They've got to continue to attack the paint. You've got to put the pressure on the Spurs. They've got to limit turnovers and do not give up easy buckets. And if they make a decent percentage of the threes, preferably somewhere around league average, or if they can get up to 40%, they'll be in a good position to win the game. But those are the little things they're going to have to do. It always comes down to the margins with this group. Rebounding, second chance points, limiting turnovers, and making sure that, through your offense, you're getting the best possible looks that you can get. And what I'm hoping to see tonight with more movement is to have a situation where the Blazers less stagnant on offense. They had those stretches in San Antonio where they couldn't buy a field goal. They struggled a bit, but they've got to be a little more crisp in their execution tonight because you want to get the best looks possible. So I'm pretty excited about that. Donovan Clingan ahead of Game 3 tonight here at Motor Center. Let's take a listen to him.
So, Donovan, just your thoughts about going to this game tonight, first home playoff game for you since you became a pro?
I'm excited. I know that Rip City has been bringing the energy all year long, and they've wanted this playoff game all year. So I know they're going to bring the energy. It's going to be loud in there. It's going to be a lot of fun. But we know that San Antonio is going to come in. They're going to be physical. They're going to play hard, and we got to match, if not be better than what their energy is.
You talk about kind of matching their energy. What are some of the other things that maybe you guys did in Game 2 that you need to continue to do to get this one tonight?
I feel like get back in transition defensively. I feel like they still had too many transition points. We got to get that lower even more than last game. But really, we just got to be physical. We got to guard. We got to take them out of their spots. We got to force them shots we want them to take, not what they want to take. And we just got to play together. We play offense together. It looks good. If we're having fun out there, it's a fun team to watch.
How big has it been for you guys? What Rob has been doing in this series?
Big time. It just the way he's come off the bench and just had an instant impact. For 20, 25 minutes a game, it's been huge. It's been winning his games. The way he did in the last stretch of Game 2 was big time for us, and it's something that he does on a nightly basis. So Rob's a special player.
You expect Wemby to play?
I don't know. We're going in there with the energy that he's playing, and before the game we'll find out if he is or isn't. But we got our game plan. We know what we want to do. We just got to go out there and execute it regardless of who's on the floor.
If he doesn't play, how different is a tough team?
Not that different. I feel like Luke Cornett has done a great job. The way he gets in and out of ball screens offensively, his finishing around the rim, his defensive presence. He protects the rim well. He's good in ball screens. So it doesn't change much. I feel like the only thing that changes is a couple inches. Whether the guy's 7'6" or 7 foot.
All right, there you go. That's Donovan Clingan. He's right about Luke Cornett. I don't need to see Luke Cornett looking like an all-star tonight. It drives me crazy. But I thought Robert Williams III was huge down the stretch in game number 2. He's a really smart player. He's been terrific on both ends for them. He shoots a high percentage in the postseason, but his work around the rim, his rebounds, his defense, he brings great energy. And Donovan Clingan, I thought, was much better in game 2 than game 1. But it's critical for Clingan, his shot blocking, his rim protection, his rebounding. It's going to be important for him to stay out of foul trouble. They're going to need everything from Clingan tonight as much as possible. They need him to be able to perform. So tip-off's coming up at 7:30. Sean Hyken is sitting next to me. We're still waiting word on Victor Wembanyama and what his status is going to be. But it's going to be a lot of fun. Dr. Jack's is open right now, so if you're coming down, you can pop into Dr. Jack's. That's where we're situated right now. Tip-off will be at 7:30, and then don't forget on Sunday, Dr. Jack's is going to open up early. We got an early tip, 12:30, matinee style on Sunday for game number 4. and our coverage will start at 10:30 right here on Rip City Radio 620. So that's coming up on Sunday, and then we're going to have a replay in the morning before game day on Sunday of the game tonight. So everything you could possibly want Blazer-wise is here. And the great thing about today, too, the weather is popping right now, man. The blue skies, the sunshine, little breeze. It feels good outside. So if you're coming down to the game, it's a perfect time. And I do see a couple of Spurs fans bumping around as well, which is very annoying. So we'll see. The Spurs, and seeing their fans, they're very confident in where they sit, and they should be. But we'll see how things shake out. But the Blazers, I'm anxious to see how they perform. They don't want to burn themselves out early with all that energy. But the great thing about being at home is I expect the role player shots to drop a little bit more. But just the energy and the effort that I expect to see on both ends and this team flying around, I think is going to be positive tonight. And will that be enough to get the job done? I don't know. But it's interesting because the line now, San Antonio favored by 3.5, so it's continuing to climb, which could be an indicator of what people think whether or not Wemby's going to be available. All right, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. You can jump on board. We'll come back, and when we do, I'll be joined by Sean Hyken, our Trailblazer insider from RoseGardenReport.com. We'll get the latest from him. He's been covering shoot-arounds, practice. He's all over it, and he's with me right now. We'll talk next and get ready for Game 3 tonight. Tip-off's coming up at 7:30 here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. All right, joining us now here at Dr. Jack's, our Trailblazer insider from Rose Garden Report, the one, the only Sean Hyken. What's up, my brother?
How you doing, man?
Dude, it's so good to see you. It's great to have a home atmosphere for a playoff game again. I'm excited to see if Portland can put on a show like San Antonio did.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. We've talked about this many times. Even though it's been 5 years since they made the playoffs, it's been 7 years since they've had a full capacity playoff crowd, because the last time they were in the playoffs was during the pandemic and they weren't selling the full building out. So the team announced yesterday that the game is sold out and it's a standing room only type of situation as far as what's available. And I just heard one of the staff at Dr. Jack's, where we're at right now, saying that even those tickets are sold out now. So should be pretty crazy.
All right. So what's your gut tell you based on your thoughts, everyone you've talked to? What do you expect from Victor Wembanyama? Does he play tonight? Does he play at all in the games here, 3 and 4 in Portland? According to Shams, he didn't have any worsening effects after the concussion. He's obviously been clearing some of the steps through the protocol. What do you think?
If you're making me guess right now, I think he doesn't play tonight and does play on Sunday. That's not based on any sourced intel or anything. That's just my gut feeling. They're going to be extra cautious with him. The Spurs, as an organization, tend to be pretty conservative with that stuff, and obviously with a player that important and concussions being such a serious thing, I'm going to guess that they hold him out tonight and then he plays on Sunday. That would just be my guess.
Okay. Very interesting. If he doesn't play tonight, you just made the point before we came on, this is probably a game that Portland must win. If he's not going to play, you've simply got to win this game at home.
Well, I think this game is kind of a must-win anyway, because they were able to steal home court advantage from San Antonio in Game 2. You got to win both of these games to keep home court advantage, because then if you lose one of these two games, then it goes back to an even series, and San Antonio's back at home potentially with Wemby. So you got to get this one.
Yeah, you got to get this one. And the great thing is, and I've thought this the whole way through the series, Portland's really playing with house money right now, Sean, where I don't think there's a lot of pressure on them because they're not expected to go out and compete for a championship this year. But San Antonio, being a young team without a ton of playoff experience, I'd be curious to see how they might respond if they find themselves in a 2-1 hole or a 3-1 hole if they're unable to get on track here in Portland.
Well, that's going to depend, I think, a lot on what Wemby does, because if, any game that in this series that Wemby plays in, the Spurs are going to be favored into it going in no matter what else has happened in the series. But if he doesn't play, then it's going to be it's going to be really interesting to see whether are the Spurs without him that much better than the way that these guys have been playing right now.
Yeah, I know a lot of people talk about their 12-6 record without him and how well they played in the regular season. But I'm a big believer in the playoffs. You need your star power. You need your big-time players because it's a different type of game. And so I just think that if he doesn't play, if he were to miss the next 2 or 3 games in this series, that's a significant advantage to Portland because they would have more star power. But also, this, man, Wemby changes so much when he's out there defensively.
It was just watching it in person for Game 1 and B, for the parts of Game 2 that he played in before he had the concussion. It was just, how we talk about how Donovan Clingan, because whenever he's standing in the paint, people just try to drive to the basket and then see him there, and they're just nope, not doing that. Wemby is that times 1,000, and he also can go out and do that on the perimeter, which it's just kind of, and at the same time, he hit a couple of threes, and that first game he hit one that was falling away out of bounds in the corner, and then he had one right in Robert Williams' face right as Portland was going on a run to kind of end that whatever run that was that they were going on to kind of make the game closer. So it's just he's somebody that nobody's really figured out any way to figure out, but
What was amazing in that Game 1 and parts of Game 2, like you said, there's so many shots that he changes that don't go down on the box score as blocked, and they don't get recorded for anything. But, man, he changes a lot of shots.
Yeah, he does things, and I thought this going. The first time I saw him in person was in Vegas at Summer League when they played the Blazers in 23 after he was drafted. He just does 2 or 3 things per game that I've just never seen anybody do before.
Yeah. Tiago Splitter doing a heck of a job. I thought, going into the playoff series, I was curious to see how the Blazers would respond. One thing we've seen from this group is he's been able to get them to stay focused throughout the course of games. What was amazing about the Game 2 comeback, it really reminded me of the Phoenix game, right, where they got up to a horrendous start at the beginning of the fourth quarter, and then all it took was a Kamara 3, and they kind of settled down and really started to take off where other guys outside of Scoot started to chip in. But that was an impressive comeback with the way they were able to get back in the game, and once again it was the defense kind of creating for their offense.
I like a lot of the stuff that Thiago has done in this series. The putting Klingon on Wemby didn't really work out. That wasn't very effective. Started going smaller against him. They started putting Drew Holiday on him, which succeeded in frustrating him a little bit. So I like that. I also like that he just kind of Jeremy Grant had a terrible game in Game 2, and he just kind of stuck with him. The one shot that he hit was one of the big shots that kind of swung the game. So I like that he's trusting his guys. He's willing to switch some things up. He put Matisse Thybulle in on that last possession. He got a really good contest on the 3-point attempt that would have tied the game at the buzzer for the Spurs. Thiago's done a really good job in this series, and really in the whole season, and also the playoffs and the play-in.
I know a lot of people want to know your take on the social video that was put out by the Blazers of Dame getting a chance to work out. Based on everything do you think there's any chance, if Portland advances, that he comes back in the postseason?
All I know is that they have been messaging consistently since July that the plan is for him to play next season.
Yes.
And that the plan is for him to go through a whole training camp and do that before he ramps up. And Dame himself said that after he won the 3-point contest at All-Star Weekend, that, if this was 5 years ago, he would have been like, oh, I can go. And that's been what the messaging has been. Thiago, even though he said probably not yesterday, he also said that Dame has a plan for his recovery, and they're sticking to that. So until it actually happens, that's still kind of where I'm defaulting.
I'm with you. I agree with everything you just said. I don't think the plan is to bring him back during the postseason. I don't think that's ever been the plan.
I also don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah. At his age.
No.
He's not Jason Tatum's age. He's later in his career, and it's not like the Blazers are championship contenders.
No, and also just from a standpoint of, for somebody who hasn't played in over a year at this point, why, you're going to need to ramp him up a little bit and work him back into the rotation. Why are you doing that during a playoff series?
Yes.
That's just, it's the whole, I get it, the fans, they post it on social media, fans get excited about it. It's never really added up to me.
No, and not only that, but throwing Dame into the playoffs on a team with guys he hasn't played with before, you're not putting him in a position to have success.
No, I don't. I'm definitely in believe it when I see it mode with that. That's where I'm at.
Now, selfishly, would I like to be at Moda Center and have Dame make a surprise appearance at a playoff game? Yeah, because that would just be an epic moment, but I've never bought into the idea he's coming back.
I think it would be short-sighted to do it just for an epic moment during the playoffs. I think these playoff crowds are going to be loud enough, and it's going to be an exciting enough atmosphere without forcing something like that.
The other thing that surprises me right now, we got news a few minutes ago. Kevin Durant's not going to play tonight in Game 3. Mm-hmm. The Lakers are up 2-0. I'm not surprised that the Lakers won a game at home, but I did not expect them to be up 2-0 going into Houston without having Austin Reeves or Luka Doncic in the lineup.
This Houston team's broken, man. I don't think this is as much about the Lakers because I don't think the Lakers are going to beat whether they would play Oklahoma City in the second round. If they win, they're not winning that series, but. To me, this is more about Houston just not, whatever this whole thing is, even with Durant playing in Game 2, Şengün hasn't been good. You're kind of finding out that, actually you can get by without a point guard in the regular season when they lost Fred VanVleet. You kind of need one in the playoffs. And, clearly, it's just that just isn't working. I think that series is more about what's going on with the Rockets than it is about the Lakers.
Yeah, I've been watching basketball long enough. Sports in general, right? They're so off that it almost looks like there could be some type of internal issues there with the team.
There could be, yeah. That would be my guess more so than anything the Lakers are doing. Although it is pretty incredible to see what LeBron is doing at his age still.
Yeah, so the Lakers up 2-0. They're going to be in Houston for Game 3 tonight. The Blazers are going to play tonight, and then we got a matinee game coming up on Sunday at 12:30. So with the game tonight, what are you most looking forward to when these two teams take the court?
Well, I want to see Scoot Henderson continue what he did. And really, everybody talks about Game 2. I thought he was really good in Game 1 also. He only had 18 points in that game, but I thought when he was on the court, he was very impactful at both ends. So I want to see Scoot keep this run going. I want to see, I just brought up Jeremy Grant hit that one big shot, but that was the only shot that he made in the entire game. I'd like to see Jeremy have a game where he can actually, make some shots and provide something offensively. I want to see, Shaedon Sharpe only played 13 minutes in the last game. He was pretty impactful in the 13 minutes, I thought. But for whatever reason, he only played 13 minutes, and clearly whatever rotations they went with worked. But I'd be interested to see him have a little bit more of an impact in the series. But it's, there's still a lot of adjustments, I think, for both teams to make whether or not Wemby plays.
Yeah, the great part is, I guess, if you want to look at it from a Portland perspective, they're tied at 1, coming back home, and they haven't played anywhere close to their best basketball. Like, they got better ball inside of them.
And that's what they've been talking about the last couple of days at practice and at shoot-around, that even though they won Game 2 and stole a game and stole home court advantage, they don't think they played that well in that game. They were down double digits in the fourth quarter in that series, and they have another level that they feel like they can get to.
Yeah. What was your reaction seeing Scoot? He played well in Game 1, then he came out and had that game-high 31 in Game number 2.
I mean, you know this too, Chad. Scoot is such an easy guy to root for.
Yeah.
He's such a good dude. He's a great kid. He's super positive all the time. He works harder than
And it's not fake.
anybody.
That's legitimately who he is.
And he's a guy that everybody on the team loves and wants to see succeed. And, obviously his career has so far not gone the way that people were hoping that it would when he was a third overall pick, between the injuries and just some of the struggles that come with being a 20-year-old point guard coming into the NBA. So I don't think there was anybody in the Blazers organization that wasn't thrilled to see him have that type of game on that type of stage.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. And because people always ask me about Scoot or share their opinions with me about Scoot, whether I want to hear him or not. And I've just never been too concerned because I know what they tell me about his work ethic and the time that he puts in. And I'm just a big believer that when you have a guy who has that type of talent, and then you combine that with someone that is a gym rat that works really hard and puts in the time, eventually you're going to get, good fruits from that type of work and with the talent.
Development is not linear.
Yeah.
That's kind of the lesson you got to take from
Especially when you're that young.
Right, yeah. You're that young, and your career has been, he missed the first 51 games of this season with the hamstring injury. He was in and out of the lineup the last couple of years with other injuries. Now he's kind of finally, he's worked his way through whatever he had to work his way through after he came back from the hamstring injury. Now he's kind of back to, he's got a rhythm. He doesn't have a minutes restriction anymore, so he's good to go. And, we're seeing just how impactful he actually can be. And I think, we talked about the scoring. He was terrific defensively in that game, too. He was playing both ends.
Oh, he's picking up guys out around half court now.
Yeah.
He's being physical. And then the other thing that's nice, too, is that you see it from the defense, right? He's been making threes, and so now they got to come out and honor that. And he can blow by anyone with his off the bounce because he's so quick.
And he can make play. I mean, he didn't have any assists. He had 0 assists in that game. But that was more because he was playing off ball, and he was playing with Drew, and he was playing with Denny, and those guys were doing a lot of the playmaking. But Scoot, the one thing we've seen, even when the shot hasn't been there throughout his career, the playmaking has been there.
Yeah.
So that's something he still has in his bag. If they are able to force him not into, getting that many open shots, he still has that ability to make plays for others.
We're talking to Sean Highkin, our Trailblazer insider from Rose Garden Report, getting ready for Game 3 tonight. Tip-off coming up at 7:30. You've been out there at the practice facility a lot. What's the overall vibe with the guys? What type of feel do you get from them? Are they excited, focused? Because for a lot of them, this is their first playoff taste. What's your feel on this?
They're pretty focused. We heard, we talked to Donovan Clingan this morning. I saw you playing a little bit of the audio from that before I got on, Chad. And he says, we're happy that we won a game, but, we haven't done anything yet. We could have played better. And, they're not looking at it like, oh, yeah, we got game 1. We don't know if Wemby's going to play. We're good. And, and he said that they're going to be preparing for tonight as though Wemby is going to play. And then if he plays, he plays. And if he doesn't, he doesn't. So they seem like they're at least focusing on the right things or focusing on the details. And, it's not just that these guys don't have experience, in this atmosphere, with how loud the crowd is during the playoffs. They also, this is a lesson in, okay, something doesn't go right in the first game. You have a couple days to adjust it, and then you play the same team again, and then they're going to make a counter adjustment. This is the first time for all these people, but so far it seems like that's, they're prioritizing all the right things.
One of the key reasons that they decided to bring in Drew Holiday is that they thought that he would help them win basketball games this year. Mm-hmm. And down the stretch, he's definitely been that guy. I just have really enjoyed watching him play. Even in a game where he struggles, he does little things throughout the course of the evening where I'm like, man, that's a smart play. Or his understanding of what's going on around him. I wish I could be a teammate of his for a couple of hours just to know what it's like, because he seems to be on point with, he knows what he needs to do, and you could tell that the guys respect him. But I enjoy watching Drew play.
This series and what he's done so far in this series, he didn't have a very good offensive game in the first game.
Yeah.
Second game, 16 points, 9 assists. But, what he's done overall in this series, this is what they brought him in for. They brought him in because after last season, they make that second half run. They don't quite make it to the play-in. But they said, you know what, this younger group with Denny Avdia, Tumani Kamara, Donovan Clingan, Scoot, with those guys, they're ready to make a push into the playoffs, need a veteran presence, a guy that can kind of calm them down, that has that experience. And Drew was available, and they did that trade. And now you're seeing exactly why that's going to pay off, even though as frustrating as it was earlier in the season when he missed a couple months with the calf injury, and so it's like, oh, did they get sold a lemon or whatever from Boston with the trade and all that. Now you're seeing, nope, this is what they were envisioning the whole time.
We were talking about the team getting a better look at some of their young players, especially Scoot Henderson, to get a good idea of what he's all about. But, I mean, if you're trying to evaluate a potential coach, you're getting a great look at Tiago Splitter and all the different things he could do.
I know there's all this stuff out there about whatever is going on with the coaching search. I've reported a lot of it. Others have reported a lot of it. I think you would be very, very hard-pressed at this point if it doesn't come down to how much money they want to spend on the position. I think you would be very hard-pressed to convince me that there's a better option out there than Tiago going forward.
I agree. Young, many believe in the league that he's going to be a coaching star. But just look at what he's done. If you're trying to evaluate a guy, how is he going to deal with adversity? Well, you've gotten a strong look at that this year with all the different things he's gone through.
Yeah.
Player development, we're seeing the young guys continuing to get better and play better. And the very basic thing for an NBA coach, can you get guys to do what you want them to do and play hard for you? And he does that.
Yeah. And, Denny said it afterwards. He said that they all respect him. He's a winner. They all buy into him. He gets the best out of all of them. He wants, that's the best player on the team. That's the guy who's the center of the franchise at this point, is Denny Avdia. And he's coming out publicly after they win a playoff game and giving him that strong of an endorsement. I think that tells you everything you need to know.
Okay. So I agree. And I would imagine, right now, because of the extensive playoff experience he had with the Spurs,
yeah,
he can draw from that to be able to help these young guys get through, these type of experiences.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that I think, makes the guys respect him the way that they do, because they know that he, has done it as a player.
Well, I'll tell you what, with the Spurs, getting a chance to watch them a little closely now. They're well coached, and I like how they play. That's a smart basketball team.
Yeah, it's a deep team, and we're spending all of this energy on talking about what if is Wemby going to play? Is Wemby not going to play? And rightfully so, because he's one of the 2 or 3 best players in the NBA, and whether he plays or not very much changes our outlook on this series. But that's not just a Wemby team; that's a deep team just overall. De'Aaron Fox hasn't had a great series, but that's obviously an all-star point guard. Stephon Castle is really good. Devin Vassell has had a couple of really good games. Luke Cornett, in the minutes that Wemby hasn't been able to be on the floor,
terrific.
He's been excellent. This is even you want to talk about vets with playoff experience. They've got Harrison Barnes on the team. This is even if Wemby doesn't play, it's not a gimme for the Blazers by any means.
Yeah, they remind me a lot of Portland, their locker room and some of the guys they have, the culture they've got. That's a good group. I respect what the Spurs have done. Now, I'll say this about Wemby. Watching him closely the first couple of games, how scary is it going to be 3 or 4 years from now when he actually has a better understanding of what he can do offensively? Because he doesn't even really have a go-to move.
The fact that this is the worst he's ever going to be is insane.
I'm not, it's easy to overstate things, but I just – he's one of the few players in my lifetime where he came around, I'm watching him, I haven't seen that before.
No, it's really hard. It's we're 70, 80 years into the NBA now, and we're seeing something that we've never seen before, a guy that size who can handle and shoot and defend that. It's just there's no precedent for it.
All right, what's your gut tell you tonight?
I think they win tonight and lose on Sunday.
Okay, so the Blazers win tonight. And you think there's a good possibility Wemby doesn't play. That's obviously the case. What if Wemby plays tonight? You think they still get the win?
I think they've got a shot.
Yeah. Yeah, because I wonder if he does play tonight, how effective will he be?
And is he going to be on a minutes restriction, or are they going to be working him back in?
Yeah.
I don't know.
We don't know.
I think tonight is the best chance that they have to really take control of the series. If they don't win tonight, it's pretty hard for me to see them winning the series.
At the very least, I do see a split.
Yes.
And then we'll go back all tied up at 2 to San Antonio for Game 5. I think it's pretty obvious if the Blazers want to win this series. If they get both games here at home, then all of a sudden they're in the driver's seat.
Yeah. I think a split is the most likely.
Yeah. Okay, good. Sean Hyken, our Trailblazer insider from Rose Garden Report, is with us. I'll let you get on with your business. So you're going to go hear from Coach Splitter now?
That's the plan, and I'm more interested to hear from Mitch Johnson about whether Wemby's going to play.
So what time will Mitch be talking?
6.
All right, so we won't find out for Probably another hour and 20 minutes until – and then at that point he'll probably update us all on Wemby, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And hopefully it's not just, he's going to warm up and see how he feels. You would hope they have an answer by then.
They probably already know the answer, right?
Yeah, but they maybe don't want to give it away because it's like gamesmanship.
Yeah, gamesmanship. So what time is Tiago talking?
5:45.
Okay, so Tiago at 5:45, then Mitch Johnson at 6, and that's when we're going to find out. So we got about an hour and 20 minutes to try and where we can rack our brains to try and determine if Wemby's going to go tonight. Great work, man. You've been killing it all week. Thank you, and enjoy the game tonight.
Good to talk to you, Chad.
All right, there's Sean Hyken, our Trailblazer Insider. We'll come back live here at Dr. Jack's. Telephone number 503-248-0620. You can jump on board. Tip-off's coming up at 7:30 right here on your home of the Blazers, Rib City Radio 620. All right, I'm now opening up the phone lines for you. Telephone number 503-248-0620. Between now and 5:30, I want to take as many phone calls as possible to hear what you think about the game tonight. If you're on your way down, I want to hear from you. If you're going to watch the game from home, I want to hear from you. If you're going to be in an establishment, I want to hear from you. What do you think about the matchup tonight? Do you think Portland's going to get the win? Do you think they can take games 3 and 4 here at Moda Center and crank up the pressure on the Spurs? Do you think Victor Wembanyama is going to play tonight? Do you think it matters if he plays tonight? And who are the key guys you're looking towards to step up tonight? Is it one of the role guys like Shaden or possibly Jeremy Grant? Do you think it's going to be Denny Avdia leading the way? 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. I want you to jump on board. I want to hear your voice. And let's get pumped up, man. This is everything that we want as Blazer fans. Playoff games at home in a series that matters, all tied up at 1, going into Game 3 tonight. And the Blazers have taken home court advantage away from the Spurs. This is what we dream of. Everything that I wanted going into Game 1 has happened. And now it's going to happen here in just a couple of hours. We're going to find out if the Blazers can get the job done or not. I wanted the split. That place is going to be off the chain tonight. Like, how excited are you to know if you're coming down to the game that you're going to be bumping into Moda Center and having a packed crowd for a playoff game for the first time in 7 years? Like, that pumps me up because you know it's going to be off the hook. Or as Scoot Henderson would say, that place is going to be turned. And he's 100% right. It's going to be wild.
Man, I already know. Rip City going to be turned.
I hope it's an amazing crowd, everybody loud, supporting our team. We're going to need them. I can't wait to see it.
I had to look up turn. I'm like, what does that mean?
Man, I already know. Rip City going to be turned.
It is, man. That place is going to be hopping tonight. So good, and I'm looking forward to it. So, you know, the things I'm looking for from the Blazers tonight, number one, be the aggressor. Like, set the tone early, get into the paint, attack the Spurs, and put the pressure on the officials to blow the whistle in your favor. You know, going back to the old thing Steve Jones used to say for years, like, the team that is the aggressor is usually going to be rewarded by the officials. So you want to set that tone early. Outside of that, don't make the dumb plays. Try to limit your turnovers. Hopefully some of the role guys will step up and make more threes, and then the Blazers can put themselves in a position to have success tonight. And obviously the rebounding is going to be critical. I'm anxious to see if Donovan Clingan can bounce back and play even better in Game 3. Not so good in Game 1, better in Game 2. I want more tonight. Robert Williams III continues to be great, but I think those three role players, Matisse, Shaden, Jeremy Grant, have got to step up. They need Grant. They need those corner threes to go down. Other guys are going to have to step up and make shots. Thankfully, Tamani Kamara came through towards the end of game number 2, which was critical, but they need other guys to step up because they're going to require more offense than just Scoot and Denny Avdia. So, and the good thing is about the Blazers now, again, this is only going to be like the 4th game where they're 100% healthy. So it's nice that the Blazers have options and more balance and more guys to really lean on. All right, let's go out to the phones. Lawrence wants to jump on board. What's up, Lawrence?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the game tonight?
All right. I am on my way. I'm excited. The first time in 7 years. I love the team. I think the biggest challenge is not their defense, not their offense, but it's the turnovers. They need to better care for the ball because those turnovers, at the end of the game, they make a big difference. So let's not turn the ball over tonight. Go Blazers.
Yeah,
I got 2 wins at home.
Yeah, no doubt, man. 2 wins would be great. Lawrence, I can't wait to see you down here, man. Enjoy the game.
Thank you. You too.
You got it. There's Lawrence. I love that. Yeah, the turnovers, the two things that just drive me mad, missed free throws and turnovers. I was so nervous when freaking Tamani Kamara stepped up to the foul line late in Game 2, needing to make 2 free throws to keep it a 3-point difference, and he made both. And the reason why I was nervous is because he was going up to the line after Robert Williams missed that free throw on the and one opportunity. It's like, come on, Rob, you could have made it easy on all of us and just made the free throw. But, of course, he didn't. But Tamani Kamara made 2, and then the Blazers got the stop and won the game. But the missed free throws over the last month of the season during some key stretches, that combined with the turnovers, it's like I just can't take it. You got to value possessions. You got to protect the basketball, and you've got to avoid the live ball turnovers. The Spurs are a really well-coached team. They execute well. They don't need help generating offense for themselves. You don't want to give them easy buckets. So, you just got to avoid those things. It's really pretty simple. And we'll find out. I think what Sean said is that so Tiago's going to talk and speak to the media around 5:45, And then Mitch Johnson, head coach for the Spurs, will talk to the media around 6 o'clock. So we're going to find out basically at 6 o'clock whether or not Wemby's going to play, because they're not going to let that out ahead of time unless one of the NBA insiders, leaks it out there. But it's going to be close to 6. So if you're coming down, you're wondering whether or not Wemby's going to play. I think he's going to play based on the indicators and what's going on, but we don't know. He's listed as questionable, but Mitch Johnson will talk at 6, so we may have to wait right up until 6 o'clock. Tip-off's coming up at 7:30. It's right here in your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Chris Burkhardt has finally arrived. He made it through the traffic, and he's got Blazers game day coming up at 5:30. All right, what's going on, my friends? Getting ready for Game 3. It's coming up at 7:30, live at Dr. Jack's. Chris Burkhart's got Game Day coming up at 5:30. It's all right here in your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Scoot Henderson coming off a 31-point performance in Game 2. That was a game high, and he's excited for the moment.
Man, again, I'm so blessed to even play in a situation like this, like playoffs, third year, younger team, not a young team, but a younger team with great vets. The picture couldn't have painted itself better.
Right now, the Spurs are a 3.5-point favorite for the game tonight. Mitch Johnson, head coach for San Antonio, is going to speak to the media coming up at 6 o'clock. That is when we're going to find out the availability of Victor Wembanyama, who's listed as questionable, coming off the concussion in game number 2. Other games tonight, second quarter in Philadelphia. Celtics have a 43-38 lead on the Sixers. Lakers and Rockets coming up at 5. All right, telephone number 503-248-0620. 503-248-0620. I want to hear from a Blazer fan. I want to know what you think about the game tonight. What matchup are you looking forward to the most? How excited are you to walk into Moda Center and have a packed crib for a playoff game for the first time in 7 years? I'm live here at Dr. Jack's, so come on down, get yourself a beverage, start getting your game face on. Tip-off's coming up at 7:30. Quick update right now. Celtics on top of the Sixers, 43-38. Coming up in a few minutes from Houston, Lakers and Rockets Game 3. LA leads that series 2-0. Kevin Durant has been ruled out of the game tonight, and with that, the point spread dropped from 9 to 5.5 in a heartbeat. And then you got the Spurs and Trailblazers coming up after that. I got a message here from my man Tony out in Boring. He says, yo, how surprised were you to see Denver get ran off the court last night? That was pretty crazy. Apparently Aaron Gordon is that important to the team. My 2 cents on Wemby, if I were the Spurs, I would rest Victor tonight and play him on Sunday if he is available. That way, if the game is close or even if they win, it'll be a psychological advantage over Portland. I guess that's a possibility. We'll find out coming up at 6 o'clock when Mitch Johnson, head coach for the Spurs, meets with the press. I'm joined now by a man who's very bitter right now. Normally jovial on game days, but right now he's not in a good mood, and that's because he's been dealing with traffic. Chris Burkhardt, my man, is here. What's up, brother?
Ooh, I made it. I thought I was going to have to ask you to host game day, man. I didn't know.
All lanes stopped on I-5?
All lanes were stopped on I-5. I wasn't too cranky because usually if there's an accident and you're stopped, someone else is having a worse day than me. But I was like, we are pushing this game time.
I'm Mr. Important Radio guy. I need to be somewhere right now.
There was this one woman in this big white truck gets on the median and just starts driving, waving at everybody. She's just going like, it was Mad Max out there.
Every man for himself.
Yes, it was Mad Max.
I am pumped, man. Aren't you glad to be down here now? Like, we're sitting in Dr. Jack's, and I know a playoff atmosphere when I feel one, dude. There's a different buzz and a feel in the air tonight. People are jacked.
I was getting butterflies a little bit thinking about today, Chad, because, a couple hundred game days and fifth quarters under my belt now, but this is the first playoff one that I get to host tonight. It's pretty awesome. I mean, we did the playoff ones, but they were remote. We did the play-in, but they were in Phoenix. I mean, we were at home, Moda. The vibe is great right now. You can feel it as soon as you walk onto the Rose Quarter, man.
All right, so we're going to find out here in less than an hour about Victor Wembanyama. What's your best guess on what happens with Victor?
I mean, it's a guess, right? They've been playing it pretty close to the vest, but I just feel like that turnaround from a concussion to be able to play today would be that's a feat of modern medicine. That's pretty crazy if he can turn around that quick. But if he's a go, he's a go. It's like I told you on the RipCityDrive. I mean, it's not coming back with a minutes restriction. You're ready to go.
If he's clear, that means he's 100%.
If it's cleared, it's 100%. The only thing is I just hope, they don't make a decision and think he's good to go and then regret it because Victor's too important and too fun to watch. But if he is a go, I'm also excited to get a chance to watch him here in Moda Center. So gut tells me sit 3, play 4. just to take that extra day and make sure that head is completely right, because I've had one concussion in my lifetime, and I can tell you it sucked.
I knew as soon as he first went down and I started seeing those 7 to 10 day time spans, my first reaction, my initial take was there's no way in HE double hockey sticks he is going to miss 3 or 4 games in the series. It's not happening. So I'm not surprised to see him come back. And if he clears protocol, like if he goes through all the steps, there's no reason to hold him out if you're the Spurs. It's like, hey, he's cleared to play. I think he's going to go tonight.
Absolutely. If he's cleared and he clears, there's no reason to do it. Like I said, if it's that turnaround would be really, really impressive. And maybe there's a level to it, and it wasn't a severe concussion, just enough to miss a game. But I just hope he's ready.
I hope he does come back because it'll make the win tonight that much more special, knowing that the Spurs fans have no excuses, right?
Yeah, I love that Scoot Henderson said that the other day after practice. Like, I hope he plays because we want to beat them at their best. That's what we like, and I'm with you.
Yeah, I agree. Let's go out to the phones. Patricia, big Blazer fan. Patricia, what's on your mind? Fire away.
Oh, my God, go Blazers. We love the Blazers. We have a good feeling they're going to pull it off. They're young. They're energetic. They have shown us for the last few games they could do it. The last game they played, they were ahead the first quarter with Wemiyama, and they can do it. We believe in the Blazers. Go, Rip City.
Season ticket holders, we love Blazers.
Are you guys coming down to the game right now?
On our way.
Yeah. All right. I appreciate it, man. You guys have fun tonight.
Thank you so much. Go Blazers!
Go Blazers!
Go Blazers. Yeah, Rip City, baby. All right, telephone number is 503-248-0620. And that's what's great about this town. It's like right now you can just look at anyone, stranger, it doesn't matter, and say Rip City, and they know exactly what you're talking about.
You and I have actually talked about this a few times over the years. It was the opposite side of that, and that was during the tank years, and things were bad there. And, this was not a year that we thought might have been a tank year for some people. But you and I have talked about multiple times how this city and this team kind of act as one. You can tell the vibes in the locker room and on the court by the vibes in the fan base. So when the fan base is going ham and the fan base is exciting, like you said, you could throw a Rip City and you get one back because you can feel the vibes. It's good. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's why there was a traffic jam, because it was an opportunity for everyone to turn their red lights on because everyone has Rip City fever right now.
Gosh, I hate that so much. It's always when there's a big event or somewhere where you need to be where there's traffic issues here in the Portland area.
Well, always in the Portland area. Having to come over the river, you never get good traffic.
Dude, I'm so pumped, man. I'm excited for the game tonight. Here's my big hot take. I think the role players, Chris, Matisse Thybulle, Jeremy Grant, Shaden Sharp, I expect them all to play well tonight because a lot of these guys are going to be better with the home energy crowd, the energy from the home crowd behind them.
Yeah, there's a couple guys that I play a certain style where they can feed off that. I feel like Matisse is one. I think Scoot's going to be really important tonight just to see if he can have another game like he had in Game 2. And then Robert Williams is another one. That core during the play-in and those games against the Clippers of Chris Murray, Matisse Thybulle, and Robert Williams was absolutely crucial to getting those late-season wins. And you need Rob in those rotation minutes because really I think this game might come down to whether Wemby plays or not. Come down to guys like Robert Williams and, quite frankly, Donovan Clingan. We've talked a few times. You can't continue to get beat by Luke Cornett. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I hate that so much. Of all the things in this series that have pissed me off, Luke Cornett getting off has been right at the top of the list.
Yeah, you can't be doing that.
Let's go out to Jackie in Sherwood. Jackie, my friend, welcome to the show. Are you excited or what? Talk to me.
Hi, Chad. How are you guys doing?
Dude, we are pumped up, man. I'm ready for the game tonight. I can't wait. Playoff basketball's back.
That's awesome. Go Blazers.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I know we've talked about this 100 times, but I have to ask on behalf of my mom.
What would you like?
So the game is on Prime only, right?
Is that the game tonight, Chris? Is it on Prime?
I believe so.
Yeah, it's Prime Video. That's the only place where you can watch the game.
Sharp play.
Yes.
It's just frustrating. Mom's a longtime Blazer fan, and she doesn't have Prime, and I don't know. If it was me, I'd be showing game to the local people, the supporters.
Well,
regardless.
I know, but it's not. But it's not. The Blazers have nothing to do with this. It's all because of the league, the new league TV deal, where the networks who paid for it, Prime Video, ESPN, all the big networks that paid for the new TV deal. Part of the negotiation was no local television broadcast for the first round of the playoffs.
Okay. Well,
so it's out of the Blazers' control. The Blazers have no control over that whatsoever.
Right.
Now, where does your mom live? Where does your mom live?
She lives in Lake Oswego. Mom's 93.
Well, why don't you drive over to Mom's house and take Amazon Prime with you? Do you have Prime Video?
Yeah, I do.
You should go watch the game with Mom.
Yes, we will.
And then if that doesn't work, let me give you the best option. You have Mom tune into Rip City Radio 620 and listen to Travis Demers on the call.
That's right. Awesome. All right.
Well, Jackie, enjoy the night, all right? Yeah,
okay.
You got it. There's Jackie. All right, Rip City, baby. Yeah, it's like that's like a conversation. Like I'm waiting for that call from my mom. Where's the Blazer game tonight? It's on Prime Video. Just talk to Dad about it. He'll take care of it.
Or, Mom, you can just listen to me on Rip City Radio. Support your son.
I know. So, because Jackie lives in Sherwood, her mom lives in Lake Oswego. And Jackie, you got to go take care of your mom. Go take the Prime Video over there.
There you go. It's a quick little jaunt. That Fire Stick, just unplug it out of the back of the TV. And if you don't have a Fire Stick, just grab one from Best Buy on the way over. There's one on the way to Lakeo.
But we got to make this very clear. The teams have nothing to do with the broadcast deal. That was league negotiated. They set it up. And so that's the way it is now. There's no local television broadcast for any team in the playoffs.
I hate it. Respectfully. I like the access because I'm of the generation that has the Peacock and the Amazon and all that stuff. So being able to watch all the games is pretty cool. But I always have hated that they used to get the first round. We always got the first round, but then they didn't get the rest of the playoffs. And I've always sat there and went like, man, if Kevin and Lamar called 82 games plus when you factor in the preseason, but they didn't get to call the 2019 run to the Western Conference Finals, that's never sat well with me.
No, it's dumb. All right, we'll come back. Chris Burkhardt. I almost lost my voice there. Burkhardt's got game day coming up at 5:30. More time for your calls, 503-248-0620. Right now, the Celtics, a 4-point lead on the Sixers with 2 minutes to go first half. 47-43. Lakers early 9-8 lead on the Rockets in Houston. Spurs and Trailblazers coming up at 7:30. Miss Johnson will update everyone on Wemby status coming up at 6. All right, telephone number 503-248-0620. Let's take a listen to this. Jared Weiss reporting on Wemby.
Victor Wembanyama was a participant at Spurs shoot-around this morning. It looks like there is certainly a chance he could play in Game 3, as crazy as that might sound. I'm Jared Weiss. I cover the Spurs and the NBA for The Athletic, and I'm sitting here technically in the Moda Center in Portland, where Wemby was just behind me shooting on the court. He was getting shots up. He was doing the usual drills that you would see people do before they would play in a game. Of course, we have absolutely no idea if he's going to play. He doesn't know if he's going to play. That's how this thing works with return to play protocols for concussions. It's an hour-by-hour thing, and even though you might not need to check every single hour, it could change every single hour. And so far, he has completed everything that needs to be completed to get to this point of, like, he can do shoot-around, he can practice a little bit. We don't know if he can do full contacts quite yet, because when we were out there, always thought it was him just doing the usual shooting drills, and then as soon as it was time for him to do more, they kicked all the media out. They're like, all right, guys, you got to get out of here. You know why. So we know that he was doing some sort of return to condition training or return to play training, and they have to do everything from aerobic exercise to doing some light on-court activity, which maybe those shots would actually count for that. The team physician has to review him. An NBA team doctor, their director of concussions, has to review all of that as well. So he needs to get signed off by several different doctors before he could even play in Game 3. So we'll see if it happens.
All right, there you go. That's the latest. We're going to find out coming up here at 6 o'clock. That is when Miss Johnson is scheduled to talk to the media. Tiago Splitter will hold his pregame press conference roughly around 5:45. Chris Burkhardt is here. Are you a little more settled now after your adventure throughout the course of town?
We're ready, man. I'm settled. The only bad part about being here in Dr. Jack's, though, is all this food is smelling really darn good. Really darn good.
I just got a nice whiff of barbecue, and I'm like, I could go for some of that right now.
Yeah, that could work. That doesn't smell too bad.
All right, Rockets without Kevin Durant tonight. That was announced shortly before the game. They have a 2-point lead, 19-17 over the Lakers, with 5:54 to play in the first. And the Celtics on top of the Sixers at halftime in Philly, 54-47. That series tied up at 1. Let's go out to Miguel in McMinnville. Miguel, welcome to the show. Fire away.
Well, deciding whether or not to pull the trigger on tonight's tickets, I see the price is plummeting, and so it makes me feel like he's not playing, or they're preparing for him not to be listed as active for tonight. But with the answer at 6, it's like, is he going to play? Is he not? Are they willing to take that risk? I know the Spurs are more of a long-term type of organization, so I'm sure they want to win. They see their opportunity, but they also know they have a nice window for, the next couple or more than couple of years with Wemby. Does he stay healthy? So, I'm thinking about the game. I'm like, man, do I go tonight? Do I go both nights? But I see the prices, and they've gone down almost half what they were. And I'm like, I think someone knows something that we don't, obviously, and he's probably not playing tonight, but, I think after the series, talking less about the prices, more about the game. How do we attack that? We're just going to play them man for man, just play them straight up. Obviously, there's always a game plan, but there's more of a game plan when you got a freak of nature playing on the other side. We did lose to them. I think 2 times, maybe 3, 2 times without Wemby this season. We obviously do need a game plan. So my kind of idea is, what do you guys think, other than the usual, get more boards, less turnovers? What do you guys think the keys to tonight's game are if Wemby doesn't play?
If Wemby doesn't play, Miguel, I appreciate the phone call. I think the importance for them is to get ball movement. They're doing a lot of 4-out with Denny having the basketball in his hands. I want to see more movement. Player movement and ball movement to get better looks. I want to see them really push and try to get out and transition behind the home crowd and create some easy opportunities. And then I'm hoping with their defense that they can create. I love some of the ball pressure we saw from Scoot and Drew Holiday, and I'm hoping that they can force some turnovers to create some of those transition buckets. What do you want to see from them tonight?
I want to see a lot of those things, and I'll elaborate coming up on Blazers Game Day.
All right, nice plug there, my friend. The other thing I don't understand is everyone talks about how the Spurs are a cautious organization. if Wemby clears all the steps through the protocol and is cleared by the doctors, is it? If he's cleared tonight, is it any safer to bring him back on Sunday compared to tonight?
No, because it's not like one of those injuries where you're going to do a ton more damage or maybe hurt the knee more because it's not 100% ready. You're dealing with the brain, which is fragile, but you can go out there if you're cleared.
And the reason why we talk about turnovers so much and committing less turnovers for the Blazers is because that really is the critical number for them.
They do it a lot.
They're so bad at it. They're the worst in the league at turnovers. Like, limit turnovers. It really matters for them. All right, big thanks to everyone, Sean Hyken, Lamar Hurd, all of you. Have fun tonight. Chris Burkhart's got Blazers Game Day coming at you next.